I'm Jim Small, here to talk to you today about the benefits of commercial real estate investments versus single-family home real estate investments in the U.S. So let me give you an example of one of my friends. He came to the U.S., wanted to invest in real estate. So he, like most people from abroad, would come in and look for a local real estate agent. The problem is he didn't realize that 97% of all real estate agents in the U.S. are focused exclusively on residential real estate. So when he asked them, what's a good real estate investment, the only answer that the real estate agent knew were single-family homes. And so he was directing the client towards the area he knew. Unfortunately, there's a whole other area which is probably larger in volume of deals and size that a tiny percentage of real estate brokers or agents know about, which is commercial income real estate. Let's just take one example. So if you're an investor, you come to the US and you buy a single family home with $100,000 cash. You're going to pay closing costs like notary fees, title fees, insurance, things like that, just when you buy the property. And then you're going to want to rent the property out, so you'll hire a local property manager. Now, local property managers are not always the greatest. They're small businesses with not a lot of sophisticated technology, and so if you get a small firm, even though you might be paying 10 or 12% of your rents to that firm, they may or may not be great for you, a good fit, particularly if you need them to communicate with you when you're abroad. If they don't use Skype or email communication very well, which surprisingly happens quite often, then you're going to be in trouble because it's your asset that they're watching while you're back home many, many miles away. The other thing is, if you have any tenant problems, like the tenant does damage to the house or breaks something or any of those things, those repairs have to be fixed. Now let's presume that you have a good property manager and they would need to get them fixed. That doesn't mean they're necessarily getting the lowest and best pricing of maintenance people to fix your home. Again, it's not their asset, and they're probably very busy managing lots of assets for lots of people. So oftentimes property managers will go with who's the most efficient, meaning they can pick up the phone, ask someone to go, and the vendor goes and fixes the issue. But that vendor might cost much more than someone who you take your time to research that can do the same job, again, less expensively. So you have some operational costs that are probably a little bit bloated, just so it's easier for the property manager. And then let's say you decide you want to sell the property. Again, this is a single family house. You bought it for $100,000. You've rented it for a while and got a little bit of income. Now you actually want to sell that asset. Well, when you sell it, again, you hire a real estate agent. You'll typically pay fees. This could be 6% or something like that of the gross price. So if you sell it, let's just say you sell it for $110,000. You're going to pay 6%, which is what, like $6,600 in commissions. Plus, you're going to pay fees to for notary fees and escrow fees and title fees, insurance. Some of those fees are all going to be put into the final price. So when you go to sell, you have your $110,000 minus all those fees. You might be back to your original $100,000 investment. And here's one of the problems that most foreigners to the U.S. don't realize. When you sell your asset in the U.S., particularly a real estate asset, it is required by the company that does the transaction to withhold up to 30% of the money that's supposed to go to you to ensure you pay U.S. taxes. You see, the U.S. government, you may or may not know this, the U.S. government is one of the only governments that taxes non-resident foreigners on money made inside the U.S. So you might pay 30% of your gain to the U.S. government for the privilege of having bought, managed, and then sold real estate in the U.S. Let's counter that with commercial real estate. Now I'm going to say that in commercial real estate, you're probably not going to buy a property by yourself for $100,000. So to make the example comparable, you're probably going to go with a local partner, someone who finds and puts together real estate deals, and you're going to be an investor with them. So when that happens, the person that you've invested with is putting together the deal, they're finding the management, they're making sure the property is well run, and they're financially incented for you to be profitable and for the property to be profitable so they too can make money. Now, they're going to manage this for their main business probably. They'll hire maybe a local manager, but they're overseeing your investment and other people's investments, and that's what they do typically full time. And then down the road when you go to sell that asset, you will pay your percentage of those closing costs. Same thing of notary fees, escrow fees, title fees, all those things are still going to come out of your portion of that commercial real estate deal. So those don't go away. And similarly, because you're a non-resident foreigner, you're still going to have up to 30% of your proceeds held back by the closing company. Again, there's the same rule in the US. If you invest in the United States from abroad as an equity investor in real estate, the US government requires the title company to hold back your money to make sure you pay the US government those taxes. So although you have less worries operationally from commercial real estate versus single family homes, you still have the same burden at the end when you sell the asset. So you might still sell it for $110,000 and pay some fees and end up with the same amount of money. But just the benefit in commercial real estate is you got a local partner that's incented to do the same thing you want to do, which is to make profit and maximize the revenue from the property. So you don't have as many worries not being in that location. But again, downside of equity investment in US real estate, little known fact, is that when you sell it, your proceeds are going to be held by the title company until you filed US taxes on your income. So keep that in mind when you're doing your investment research. I hope this helps you, and I'll be back with some more tips soon. Bye for now.